Hey ChatGPT, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing awesome today. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Well, I wanted to do a little experiment. Pretend that you are a documentary filmmaker and you are interviewing me, Chris Tarosa, about my life and career as a video creative.
All right, Chris, let's dive in. To start, can you take me back to the beginning? What was that first spark that led you into the world of video?
It really all began in high school. Back in the early 2000s, film and video wasn't really as popular and as widespread as it is nowadays. There was no YouTube, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, all of these things. But luckily, my high school was one of the very few that had a film class. And that's really where it all started.
That's incredible. Right there in a high school classroom, with this rare opportunity to get hands-on experience. Was there a particular moment or project where you thought, this is it, this is what I want to do?
I just loved being able to make videos.
Take your time. What was it about being behind the camera or in the edit that made it click for you?
So we were part of a film club, and one year we opted to create a short film. I was actually the assistant director for this thing, and honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. Regardless, it was such a fun experience just working on something together with a group of like-minded people. We all wanted to make this thing great. Now, it was a high school film and it was trash, but just the experience alone was amazing. Our film teacher, he even rented out a theater at the local community center, and we got to premiere it. We had a red carpet rollout. The local newspaper was there, and my girlfriend, now wife, there's a picture of the both of us on the red carpet, and that was really fun.
That sounds like such a formative moment. The thrill of collaboration, the chaos of figuring it out on the fly, and then seeing it all come to life on a big screen. How did that experience, with all its highs and even the imperfections, shape the path you decided to take after high school?
Like a lot of teenagers don't know what they want to get into. And that experience, the film class, I just knew that being in film and television, making video, whatever you want to call it, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So after high school, I went to Seneca College for the broadcasting television program. It was a 2-year program. Video editing was always the thing that I enjoyed most. It always just clicked with me. It's where the pieces come together. It's where you get to start seeing what this puzzle looks like. You spent all this time creating all of these individual pieces, a shot here and music and graphics and all of these things. And then in the editing post-production process, that's where all of this comes together. And I just really enjoyed that process.
What was the next big step in your career? How did you move from that first production company into bigger projects like your work with Sportsnet?
Well, my first job at Rogers was as a video editor for the radio department. And I was in charge of cutting together promos and music videos in Toronto, Kiss 92, CHFI. These are radio stations that I grew up listening to. And now I was creating video content, video commercials for these radio stations. It was really fun. And after that, I didn't even apply for it, but I was hired as a creative producer for Sportsnet.
It's the playoffs, but there's no playing around. This was always the end game. This is what it was all for. Locked in, all in. 'Cause they're coming for that gold.
That must have been a surreal experience. What was that transition like, going from editing these smaller projects to being in charge of content for such a huge sports network? How did your role and responsibilities shift when you joined Sportsnet?
I started my career as a video editor, and that is what I knew, that is what I was comfortable with. But with Sportsnet, I was hired as a producer. Actually, I was told that because of union rules and all of this stuff, I wouldn't be allowed to edit anything that went to broadcast television. So transitioning from that, from going from editor 100% of the time, full time, to being a producer without editing at all, was a new experience, but I am grateful for it because it brought me outside of my comfort zone. It introduced me to new parts of the production process of writing, pre-production, not to mention that I had to also direct on set. Directing Toronto Raptors Media Day was a crazy experience. I realize now that as much as I love video editing, I could never go back to just being a video editor because I love the entire process, really.
That sounds like such a transformative experience. Stepping out of your comfort zone, directing the Raptors Media Day must have been a huge milestone, especially considering your background. How did those new skills, like writing and pitching, shape your creative vision? Did they influence the way you approached projects differently than you did as just an editor?
You know what's funny? I think it maybe worked the other way around in terms of, because I was an editor, or am an editor, and that was always my mindset, I was able to think like an editor whenever I wrote scripts, whenever I produced a project. I thought of the end goal and how it would come together. And so, you're going to interrupt me, aren't you?
That's such an insightful way to approach it. Thinking like an editor, even while wearing the producer's hat. Looking back on your time at Sportsnet, what was it that ultimately led you to leave? What was the turning point that made you decide to move on from that chapter in your career?
So, as much of a dream job that it seemed to be, and there were moments that were amazing. Like, I mean, I got to work there during the 2019 championship for the Toronto Raptors, and that's most likely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And so to many, especially as a huge NBA and Toronto Raptors fan, it seemed like a dream job. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Sportsnet Rogers is a corporate, it's a huge corporation, and with every big corporate company, there's some BS that you gotta deal with. And also, I was there for almost 10 years. And there just comes a time when, at least for me, when you just get bored of pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over again.
One of the biggest corporate takeovers in Canadian history was approved by Ottawa today. Rogers is buying its longtime Western rival, Shaw, for $26 billion.
And because of this merger, they wanted to obviously, get rid of some people and all of this stuff. That's just what happens in the corporate world. And so they were offering people who wanted out of the company a package. And because I was there for almost 10 years, my package was decent. And it just seemed like it was the universe, God, whatever you want to say, saying that it's time to go.
It sounds like you were at a crossroads, feeling creatively blocked, but also reaching a point where the company's direction didn't align with your personal goals anymore. So when the opportunity to leave came, it seemed like a natural fit, right? How did that decision feel at the time?
Oh man, it was scary. They only gave us 3, maybe 4, no, it wasn't a month. I think it was about 3 weeks to make this decision. You had to decide if you wanted to leave your job within 3 weeks.
How did you process it? Was there a specific moment or something that helped you feel more certain about leaving?
I mean, I had to talk to my wife about this. She knew that I was frustrated working there and that, I've been wanting out for a long time. If she wasn't supportive of the decision, then, there's a good chance that I might still be there. I would like to hope not.
So, now that you've taken the leap, what are you focusing on in your work these days? How are you shaping your creative projects and career?
Honestly, it took some soul searching, some time to just figure out what I really wanted to do. So I realized that I didn't want to work for clients anymore. I didn't want to do client work anymore. I wanted to create and do stuff that I was passionate about. So when I left, the first thing that I did was I got into music production. I've always loved making music, playing music, but I didn't want my experience in video production, all of that time to go to waste. But also I enjoyed it. I still loved making videos. I still enjoyed that whole process. And so it took some soul searching, and I needed to figure out, how can I find my purpose in this? I wanted to find a way to take all my experience in the video production industry, to take everything that I've learned, the highs and the lows, and figure out how I can help other people, other video creatives on their journey. And that's really what I'm doing now. Or at least that's what I want to do.
That sounds like a really fulfilling decision, turning your experience into something that can help others. So now that you've made that shift, what does it look like for you? How are you helping video creatives today?
Honestly, I am just in the very early stages of figuring out how that all looks. I know that I'm passionate about helping people create stuff that they themselves are passionate about, the kind of art that they want to see, to be there to support them, whether it's giving them tips and advice on filming and shooting, but also, of course, with editing, but also just with creative mindset and being the sort of mentor that I personally didn't have when I started my career. And to also have this community, because that's another thing that I didn't have. I wasn't part of a community of like-minded people that supported each other. And that is what I just find so important. And that's what I'm honestly trying to build.
To wrap this up nicely, here's a final question. Looking back on your journey, from making the decision to leave your job to now, how do you feel about the creative path you're on and the impact you want to have on other video creators? What's the legacy you hope to build through the community and mentorship you're creating?
Oh man, legacy. Honestly, I just want people to feel more confident in themselves on a creative level and on a personal level. I don't necessarily care.
That's powerful. Helping people feel confident in their creativity and in themselves is such a meaningful legacy. I think it's also about giving them the tools to trust their own instincts, take risks, and make work that really resonates with them. It's not just about creating videos. It's about empowering people to believe in their own voice and vision.
Yeah, no, that's great. And before she cut me off there, I want people to walk away and feel more confident in themselves, again, creatively and personally. Because those are things that I know that I struggled with, imposter syndrome and all these things. That means more than people remembering my name. That means way more. If people can create the art that they always wanted and feel confident in doing so, and having a community of like-minded people to do it with, that's everything. Now, it would be stupid of me to not mention that, yes, I am starting this mentorship community program for video creatives. Everything that we talked about is legit in this interview with ChatGPT. I want to have this community of people that help each other, that I can help, and we create together. We lift each other up. We empower each other. We give each other confidence. We help people with whatever creative roadblocks that they may have. And that is, that's the goal. And yeah, I hope to see you there.